Throughout the ages, art has been kept within the realms of traditions. These traditions have been manipulated as times have changed and the world developed. However, now faced in modern society, art has taken a new form, challenging the ages of traditions. This is the result of artists such as Damien Hirst and Tracey Emin. From these artists, only one question springs to mind. Can art be made from anything? To obtain the answer to this question, I am turning to a movement which has pushed the boundaries of art, much like today. This movement is Arte Povera. Arte Povera originated in Italy and started during 1962 and ended 1972. The translation of Arte Povera is poor art or impoverished art. The name itself explains the movement well, as the artists were distinctly recognised for their use of commonplace materials such as earth, rock, clothing, paper and rope. Arte Povera was voiced through three artists who are Alberto Burri, who created paintings and burlap sacks, Piero Manzoni, who held prefigured conceptual art qualities, and Lucio Fontana, who created monochrome paintings. However, these three artists did not create the term Arte Povera. Critic Germano Cliont did in 1967. Although Cliont was the first critic to look down upon the movement, he later staged the opening show of Arte Povera I Am Spazio, which was held in La Galleria Lebesca. A quote taken from Cliont about the show clearly shows his lack of understanding. What is happening? Brutality is entering the area of art. The insignificant is coming into being, or rather it is beginning to impose itself. Physical presence and behaviour have themselves become art. We are living in a period of deculturization. Iconographic conventions are collapsing, symbolic and conventional language crumbling. The show itself shocked the world as pieces like Boetti's Pile, which was a stack of asbestos blocks, and Pascal's Mound, which were saws made into solid shapes, had never been done. 2 months after the show, Cliont wrote Arte Povera, Notes of a Guerrillan War. The book itself was nothing more than a manifesto, which only cemented his associations with the artist, but also added to the names. Artists were linked through his view of their common desire to destroy the clarification between art and life. Cliont wrote, "The difficulty of knowledge, or of taking possession of things, is enormous. Conditioning prevents us from seeing a pavement, a corner, or a daily space, and Fabro repossesses the rediscovery of a pavement, a corner, or the axis that unites the floor and ceiling of a room. He is not worried about satisfying the system, and intends instead to disembowel it." In a way, he was merely describing the purpose of art. When it comes to the key ideas of the movement, there is only three things to take into account. The first is its use of simple artisanal materials was not to the exclusion of all else. This is seen through memorable work contrasting with the unprocessed materials and having references to consumer culture. With their belief in modernity threatening our sense of memory with the past, they began to contrast the new world with the old to overcomplicate our senses of passing time. The second is that Arte Povera not only opposed the technology side of American minimalism, but also the scientific rationalism to which they believed was occurring. As a result, they conjured a mythical world with mysteries that could not be easily explained. However, through the use of reality, there was a possible chance that it could. This was done through juxtaposing new and old, or highly processed and the pre-industrial. Through doing this, they destroyed the experience of memory and the modern world. And the third is that the interest in poor materials is related to assemblage, which was an international trend in the 1950s and 1960s. Both movements represent a rebellion against abstract painting, and in a way Arte Povera was just continuing with the work. Here's an example of a piece of artwork which was created by Giovanni Anselmo. His work ranged from sculptures to photographs and even drawings. His main focus was to use a mixed media and to show the many forces and natural changes that occur every day. Here is an example. As the lettuce decays, the small granite block falls to the ground. In a way, it is more scientific than it is art. It was also very expensive, as many lettuces were needed to feed the block. Now that I have explored this small movement and investigated further, I suppose there can only be one answer to this fundamental question. Can art be made from anything? In a way, art's purpose can answer the question. Art is created to fill a space, so it doesn't have to mean anything or be anything.
Art, in my opinion, is a grey area between reality and illusions. It's a place for thinkers to think and our minds to play. Art doesn't need to follow traditions, as it will consume our thoughts and we will become the artist's puppets either way. I've had a go at creating an Arte Povera inspired piece. I was inspired by the young members of society's need for energy drinks and how the future hangs in the balance of now and then. The materials are rubbish, but still I have you thinking. The end.